When I was in high school, I had two major depressions, but at that point I wasn't sure if it was a normal thing for a high school kid or if it was just me being an overachiever kind of crashing, because I would constantly work really hard and I was in every club and sport and music, and then I would crash. So I had major depression when I was a sophomore and had to give up a couple of the clubs and the sports that I was doing, and then I had another crash when I was a senior when I was trying to figure out college. Then when I was a freshman in college, I had another big depression, but I didn't really know what was going on until I was a sophomore in college when I had my biggest depression. Actually was going to school in Chicago, and my boyfriend at the time ended up calling my parents to tell them that I wasn't safe and that they needed to take me back to Seattle. I just was so depressed that I had stopped eating, I stopped leaving my room, I stopped doing everything, going to classes, interacting with people. I would have these things where I would walk around Chicago and start scratching myself, and I didn't even know I was doing it until I suddenly was in this alley that I didn't even know where I was or how I got there, and I had was bleeding because I was scratching myself, and it just spun so far out of control that I was having these thoughts that I would never have, just thought about jumping off the roof of my building or cutting my fingers off with a butcher knife, things that I would never ever think. And that was when it was, when you can't control your mind at all, it's the most terrifying thing. That, I think, was when I knew that something was wrong, and I went back to Seattle and started recovering, but was still in a really low-grade depression. Moved out on my own, started living in another apartment, trying to get my life back together, and then I crashed for good and actually became extremely suicidal and had to go into the hospital, where I was diagnosed for the first time as having bipolar 2. When I was first there, I was really bad. I couldn't stop thinking about anything but suicide and had obsessions and ruminations all the time, and ended up actually having electroconvulsive therapy. And after I started to heal a little bit, at that point I decided, I realized that I did want to live, and that was when I began to accept that I needed treatment and want to get treatment, because I knew that this would keep happening if I didn't. I got out of the hospital and things were going good. I went back to Chicago to school, and then I started having manias. After I was in the hospital for a second time, I had an extreme mania and ended up overdosing on anti-anxiety pills. And I think that was the turning point for me, because I was so manic that I couldn't control what I was doing, and I took all the anxiety pills anti-anxiety pills, because I just was so impulsive and was trying so hard not to do other things to kill myself. So knowing that I was that impulsive and that that's what my manias could do, I realized that I didn't want to ever go through that again. So decided to start getting real treatment and stop self-medicating and take care of myself. Well, my life now is completely different than I ever thought it would be. I have taken these terrible things that have happened to me, and throughout all of it I was writing a lot, and we've taken my journals, my mom and I have put them and compiled them, and we've written a book together. I think that it's really important to share that, and I think that's the only way that that stigma is going to go away, is if people can see the people that actually have bipolar or any mental illness, to see that they live normal lives and that they're normal people.